Welcome back to Got No Control Podcast. I am your host, Ronek. Before I introduce my special guest today, I just want to invite you guys to head over to Got No Control, grab yourself an official t-shirt, hoodie, and much more. This gives us financial freedom to be able to keep the travel and bringing you guys in-depth conversations and podcast episodes around all the United States. We're moving around. We're going to keep moving around. So if you can, make sure to check out gotnocontrol.com. Today, I'm in beautiful Oceanside, San Diego, California. And I'm here with a good friend, Brandon from Infamy Art. How you doing today, brother?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for coming down. I know it was a trip.
Always, brother. It's fun coming down here. Like, the whole vibe of San Diego is definitely interesting. I'm just like learning as I go, meeting interesting people. The culture's been amazing to me out here. And, just seeing what you have built, right? And just hearing the backstory is just so inspiring to me. It's a phenomenal journey. Like, for me, entrepreneurship is always important. I mean, it's always important to, pursue what it is that motivates you and moves you, right?
Right.
Like understanding like this makes me happy and this is what I'm going to do regardless of the negativity it might bring or the negativity comments people may have to say,
Not just that. It's like everybody thinks about their end goal, where they want to go, get rich, whatever, famous.
Yeah.
But every layer, every level, you got to test your character. You got to grow as a person,
100%.
and it's pushing you. And so you're becoming better. You're becoming more responsible. You're becoming more dependable. You're just becoming a bigger person. And I think that's like the gift in that, and just personal growth, becoming more, doing what you love, but like sacrificing for it, becoming greater because of it is like, it's way better than working some corporate job where, you're worried about your paycheck, but are you, is it changing who you are for the better? Are you becoming, a better hustler? Are you becoming, smarter? And that's what doing your own thing, it'll push you to be the best version of yourself. And I think people underrate that,
Yeah, and it's like with anything in general. I don't have to be running a business, but it's like if you're that guy that likes to, I don't know, bake cakes, right? Be the best guy to make a cake, right?
Totally.
Don't half-ass it. If you really love it, like go all ham and
go all in
and do the little things, a little sprinkle here, you know what I mean, and take pride in it. And it's a beautiful thing to build something from scratch and see it just grow to where it's like it has outgrown what you believed it to be.
You could do, yeah.
Like. It's a great thing, man. For anybody out there, I encourage you guys to if you fucking love something, just go for it.
Just go for it.
The worst that could happen is you fail, but we all get back up and find something else.
Yeah, well, even in the failure, you learn how not to do it, right?
Yeah.
You learn like, okay, if I adjust in it, don't be afraid to fail. I mean, don't be afraid to be whacked. Don't be afraid. If you don't try new things, you get stuck in the same lane. You never, like, who knows what you can make? Like.
I tell some of my closest friends, because I have very few close friends, and I tell them, like, all the situations that I land on where I actually win and it opens up doors for me is being places that have no business being in.
It's really true. You can't predict, like, you just have to go out and do it, right? And you never know where it's really going to carry you. And but if you don't do the work, you already know where you're going to be. You're going to be playing Fortnite or whatever in your garage. Like, you won't get anywhere. And then nothing changes. But you get out of your house. Try that thing you love. Whether it's making music or making art, just get out and do it. Yeah,
100%. Like, it's interesting how the world moves and circulates, and like how someone that doesn't know you, doesn't ever met you, will support you 100%. Mm-hmm. And then you got that one individual that you've been damn near knowing since diapers, and he's always like, no, man, it's not going to happen. Hey, you can't do this. You can't do that. And it's like, it's really something really interesting to fully digest and understand. Like,
sure,
how people could really change up on you.
You can't do it for your people.
Yeah.
I mean, your people often, unfortunately, are going to be the people who are most jealous when you do start succeeding.
Yeah.
And the truth is, if you don't do it for yourself or for some larger idea, culture, or, like for us, graffiti or street art culture, if you're not doing it for the whole thing, your friends are going to let you down. They're going to talk shit. They're going to throw roadblocks in, and I love them. I'll have a beer with them, but I'm not moving at anybody's rate but my own.
Yeah.
I'm not slowing down for anybody. And like I said, I'll have a beer with them, but you when you've accomplished what I've accomplished, then maybe we can sit down and have a conversation about it. But so many people don't understand the work it takes,
Definitely the groundwork, and like, just like understanding that everything's not easy. Like it might look easy on the internet.
Right.
It might look like, oh, this guy's really doing it, but it's like, nah, man, it's a lot of groundwork.
Right.
It's a lot of headaches. It's a lot of up and downs. You're gonna lose a lot before you win.
Right.
Like you'll have those conversations to yourself where like, man, I don't want to do this no more. I just want to give up. Like, but you got to keep going, right? You got to see the bigger picture.
Push through, yeah.
Like for me, I've gone through those emotions where it's like, man, this is too much. And one of the hardest things that I had to learn was time management.
Okay.
Like if someone tells you, hey, Brandon, can you come tomorrow 10 p.m.? But you know you can't be there 10 p.m. Don't be like, yeah, man, I'll be right there.
Right. You piss everybody off.
And then your whole day, you're right there like, "Ah," you know what I mean? So time management's important. I think so. I mean, I guess, but I really want to dive into your inspiring story,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Where is Brandon originally from, and what is home to Brandon?
Actually, I came full circle. I'm from Oceanside. I'm back in Oceanside.
Yeah.
There's something... Oceanside used to be really grimy. Now it's kind of been bought up and it's a big tourist destination. But it was really grimy. And there's something about that just gave it so much character and personality. It's a lot like a Long Beach or whatever.
Okay.
You know, you turn down the wrong street and all of a sudden you're on the wrong street. You know,
got no business being in.
Yeah, and I like that. It kept you on your toes, kept people real with each other because everybody knew anything could pop off at any time. And this is really where I was a little skater kid, I didn't really have parents at home or anything. So I just grabbed my skateboard and roamed through the city. And that's even how I found Graff. I remember I had a friend I skateboarded with and he moved away. He moved to like a kind of a worse part of town.
Gotcha.
And I didn't see him for a couple months and we got back together. We were skating and he's all, yo, Brandon, we're taggers now. And I didn't have a name. I didn't even know what Graff was yet, but I was down. I was like, all right, we're taggers now.
Whatever this is, I'm in
it. You doing it? I'm doing it. Let's do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was like that. Like someone just handed me the card and said, this is what we do now. And I was like 12, so that's a lifetime ago. And so my whole life, I just started with a marker and you have your first couple names that are all like, you don't know, people already have them and you're toy as fuck. But it's part of it. And, you just, especially around here, you cruise around on your skateboard, have your headphones in, you drop tags everywhere you went. And so it wasn't about like piecing or doing huge scale things. It was really just about like fucking some shit up and having fun and getting your name out and not, like we were all whack, like we were all kids. 12, 13-year-olds, we were looking up to dudes who were whack. Like the guys we were looking up to now, and I'm like, man, that was toy too. But 100%, you don't know. It's just what's in front of you and what seems like alive and vibrant. And at the time, there was a lot of tag banging. We were getting that from the LA culture. And so you didn't see like a lot of like, there was bombing, but it wasn't even like hollows or anything. It was like just tags. You would see fools would hit a wall and there'd be like 30 dudes just dumping cans, but there would be no letters. It was just tag. Like you'd see like 100 tags on a wall. Like fools would just write their name over and over and over again on the side of the freeway, and you were just like, it was. You just never see anything like it. Now most people go for space or use that time differently, but at the time it was just tagging. And there was like battles going on where people were tagging on palm trees and rocks, and just everything was covered around here for a minute. And if you were out in the street skateboarding and doing your thing, like you couldn't avoid it. Everything was just destroyed.
Gotcha.
And they ended up cleaning obviously all that up over time, but that's where it kind of all came from, was skateboarding and tag banging. I wanted to take a small rewind, right? Sure.
Skateboarding, and my personal opinion, because I skated as a kid too. I wasn't doing all kinds of tricks, but I skated. To me, skateboarding culture itself is kind of like a brother to graffiti.
Totally.
And I think the fact of being able to do two at the same time kind of moved me as a child, where it's like, man, I got all this stuff going on, right? How did skateboarding culture itself land upon you?
Around here, to be honest, in Oceanside growing up, it didn't matter what race you were. You had a skateboard or a surfboard.
Okay.
And surfing, it was just too cold for me. I know we live in this like trauma, maybe I'm a bitch or whatever, but like, if you got to wear a wetsuit and sit out there and freeze to death, I just wasn't passionate enough about surfing to like deal with that. you know. But skateboarding, I could do it year round. If it got cold, put on a hoodie. You know, like I'm back at it. And something about the freedom, like I said, I never had parents home or anything like that. Like I was going to be out causing trouble. At least a skateboard gave me a way to get around, gave me something to do while I was out, you know. And same thing with once I picked up tagging. But I think you're right. I think something about being out, touching the streets, seeing the dumpsters, being, you know, like looking at your environment. When you're a skateboarder, you got to look for where the good, you know, stair sets are, where the rails are, or, you know, where the good curbs are that you can do whatever you're trying to do on.
I think it's a fulfillment of freedom, right? Like, it's just like I'm out here just living, breathing. I might just have a messed up board and some messed up shoes, and I'm wearing the same clothes all week. But it's just that fulfillment of like, I'm me.
Yeah,
you know
I'm out.
Like,
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. I got friends. We're all together.
Right.
We're all sharing a damn box of pizza, 140. You know what I mean? Just living life and not thinking about the future. Just living in the moment.
Right.
I think that fulfillment it's enjoyable, and it's kind of like makes you feel like I got something here that I don't have at home.
Sure. And I think, like you said, it relates back to street art and graffiti because of that like sense of freedom and that sense of connection to your environment. Because when you're a skateboarder, you're falling on stuff, you're touching stuff, you're grabbing stuff. You know where that cool electrical box that faces 3 different streetways is because you're walking it or skating it. You know, you're out there. Versus most pedestrians are, you know, they never get out of their cars. They don't even notice that there's an electrical box there. You're the one who's like, oh, I'm going to get that spot right there. And skateboarding's the same way. Like when you're driving, you're looking like, oh, is that a gap I could hit or whatever? And so it kind of trains your brain to like look at the environment and get involved in the environment, you know, touch it, like go play with what's around you. And I think that's one of my favorite things about graph too, is like, I mean, I'm getting older. I'll still get out of my car to like get that spot if it's a good spot, you know, and what are you going to do? You got to get it, you know, no risk, no reward. And it's silly on one level, but it keeps me like I'm playing with my city all the time or whatever town I'm in. You know, I'm never a tourist because I'm engaging with wherever I'm at. You know, I'm like really looking at the environment, really looking at the spaces. I'm not just, you know, head down walking through. I'm experiencing it.
Yeah, you're open eyes to watching. Like,
I'm checking out other graffiti. You know, I'm checking out what
and even everything in general. Right? Like sometimes I'll be out in the middle of nowhere. I'm just like, man, look at that picture. That thing looks fatter than usual. What is he eating? Rats out here?
Yeah. You're aware, you know, and I think both activities, skating and graph, kind of have that relationship where you become more aware of your environment. Your desire to get out and express in your environment, to kind of own it. You know, that's the other thing with skateboarding. We would take benches and move them wherever we needed to. We didn't ask for permission.
Yeah.
We just did it, you know? And same thing with graph. Like you don't need permission for graffiti.
You just
go do it, you know? And
skateboarding has also offered financial opportunities, right? Like hiring graffiti writers to do some of this deck designing, right? Which is, I think, is dope.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's great, man. Like, it's just, I just want to see them in the future, like, kind of like put something together.
Go full circle again.
There's a lot of guys that were fully dedicated to the skateboard culture, but then are fully dedicated to graffiti culture.
Yeah.
So I think they could both meet in the middle and be like a super dope, like, clash. Like, ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, even, you know, you had Persway, who's also... I don't know if he's from I think he's from San Diego. Yeah, he's local. He's in and out of town often, but he's amazing as a graph writer, as all the projects he does. But he was doing shoe design way back in the day for, like, I think it was Globe.
Yeah, he said he did DC.
Yeah,
he worked with DC. He worked with Osiris.
See, you know better. Yeah, you just talked to him, right? So I'm just like on the outside looking in, you know. I mean, I'm certainly not a historian. He's a local. I don't even know. See, we suck in San Diego. But you know, what he was able to do inside the culture was real work. Like he really monetized his skill and craft, and that's really what I want more for us artists, is to be able to find a lane where we're able to do what we love more comfortably. And I think that's one of the problems we have in this culture. And I work with a lot of artists, so I see it, where we're so busy thinking paint wall. We're not really thinking, okay, now where else can I put this? Or how else can I use this where, like, other people can enjoy it, or I can make a little money off of it. And it's not about the money. It's about being able to do the next project. And so you need something to get there.
And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to like provide for the family off your passion.
Yeah. What's wrong with success if you're doing it in a way that's genuine and consistent to your value system? You know what I mean? Like, I think, unfortunately, because when we come from street art or street culture like skateboarding, there's this idea that like your passion needs to override everything. And I think that's super important. It does. And I think it's important to look at, selling out, whatever that means for you as a person. And it's good to support local companies and stuff like that. But it's great as an individual. We started this talking about doing your own projects and stuff like that. If you can't monetize in this world, especially here in California, you can't really do much. So you need to talk to people, and you need to get sponsors involved, and you need to think about the money at least a little bit. And it sucks, especially as artists. We hate it, but it's part of it. It's part of it. And the sooner we kind of learn that it's okay, as long as we're fair to each other and we're reasonable, like, go get paid. Like, go get paid.
And you're gonna have to develop people skills, right? You're gonna have to be able to coordinate with, because you can't reach out to a sponsor and be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Totally.
I mean, you got to really build that proposal, and it takes time, but it's achievable.
Right. Well, but just like we said, it makes you a better. Now you can do this thing. You're like, oh, I got this skill.
Yeah.
And once you kind of have these couple skills you did just because you liked doing what you were doing, all of a sudden now anything's possible because you have these skills nobody else is learning because nobody else is doing the work.
Yeah.
And who knows where that'll take you. When I started this, I was a pure fan. I was like, I didn't even have anybody really to tell me how to do this shit.
Yeah.
Everybody around me was as bad as I was. So there wasn't an OG being like, yo, your letters are whack or whatever, I think the closest thing to that was in high school when I was a freshman. This dude who was like a senior gave me his alphabet. And man, I learned that alphabet like it was holy. And I mean, still my letters to this day like have a little of that alphabet in it, because once it's in you, it's like there forever. And
it's like the memory muscle. Like you always remember, it goes like this.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. It kicks like that and it feels like home.
It's like your brain is telling you, move the finger, go like this. You know what I mean? And like, it's crazy, but that's really how it works. I wanted to get into, brother, creativity, right?
Okay.
How did creativity initiate for you? Was it kind of like as a kid, was it maybe like an instrument, playing ball, or how did that kick into you?
I actually, for me, and it's gonna probably be kind of lame, but like I didn't have a really good home life at the time, and it was really just to like escapism. Yeah. Like you could go home and see fighting and maybe catch an ass whooping, or you could like stay out and be in your own little world, and you needed something to do. You know, like so. Me getting creative originally, and again, that probably like. I wasn't that great of an artist. Yeah. Because I didn't have the passion to be a great artist. I liked doing it. It was a good release, and it felt better than whatever my other options were, and that just kept me going. And I think we all know it becomes kind of like a game. How many tags can I get up, or, like, can I get bigger? Can I get that spot? And it's like a little game with yourself, a little game with your community.
Or you get that one chick to be like, oh, you're that one guy.
Yeah, no. Oh, I've seen your stuff. And she bats her eyes. You're like, oh, your whole neighborhood's fucked now. I'm going to get it all. Like, you saw that one? Okay. You'll be seeing me again too. You know what I mean? And, no, it's true. It's just those little victories, somebody being like, oh, I heard of you, and like not talking shit. And you're like, all right. And those little wins will keep you going. And I honestly, even to this day, it was never about the fame. And I know that that's like a big part of our culture, whether you're talking hip hop or skateboarding or graph or whatever, these things that are all kind of combined in our overall culture. Fame is a huge part of it. You want people to know what you're doing, and good. But for me, the action of doing it was always so much more valuable than like anything anybody would get back to me. Plus, I'm such a critical person on myself that like you could be over here being like, "Yo, you're the best, bro," and I'd be like, "You don't know shit." Like,
it's horrible.
You know what I mean?
Don't
It sucks,
talk to me.
and I'm working on it. And thank you for being kind, but I don't believe you. And I think that. I don't know if that's humility or I'm just a dick to myself. I don't know what that is. But what that did is like I was able to like get through those years where maybe I didn't have a lot of progress.
Yeah.
Or maybe it just wasn't good shit, Like I was never afraid to be a toy. As long as I was moving forward and having fun and authentic to what I was doing, fuck it, not everything turns out perfect. And it was the action, the sport, the fact that it was still alive in me, that mattered more than am I the dopest in the city? Now, of course, my opinions have changed a little.
Cause a lot of people out there that might not know about the culture, that might not understand, it's not easy to paint graffiti.
No.
Like, it's not easy to pick up an aerosol can and be able to just spray it and get a clean line. It ain't easy to develop letters that are properly structured and flow together and look good when you look at them and are appealing to the eye, right? It takes time. You got to really develop it, and you really got to find yourself and your style, right? Because like as an artist in any medium, style is important. Like what makes you different.
Totally.
And for anybody listening out there, it takes time. Some guys have been painting 30 years plus and they're still learning. Right. So there's never enough. You learn that every single day.
I mean, I would say if you talk to the fools who have been painting for 30 years, they'll be the most honest that they're still learning. I mean, it's an infinite pursuit. You look at people like Crayola or Totem. These are people that they still are related to the graffiti culture. Yeah. But they've taken their skill to such a level that most artists of any kind of genre are like intimidated. Like I don't want to have to try to do that. That looks very hard, And they just took this kind of simple like thing, this kind of primal art form we all have, and they evolved it to a degree where it, blows your mind. Or like, a lot of really the art we see all over the world. I mean, that's the cool thing about the graph scene is you can go into Mexico and they're doing it like with the same tool but differently. Yeah. In Mexico right now they're doing photorealistic Mayan goddesses on 3-story buildings like nothing. Like it was just lunch today, and they've evolved it to such a degree. If you would have been in the same community 10 years prior, you wouldn't have seen anything like that. Yeah. They were just so hungry and they're so passionate and they're so about it. And you see that in certain parts of Europe. And I mean, we have that too. I think we have the more destructive element here in like LA area. We're less worried about big, pretty things because it's going to get slashed or crossed out or somebody's going to bomb. So, I mean, we try to keep those skills, but I think a lot of us are big on bombing and getting wild with it, And I think that's something we're contributing, though. I mean, you look at like what LA is doing with billboards and these giant buildings and it's just, you're seeing out of control, next level stuff, and it's inspiring. It's incredible.
definitely the innovation of it, like how
the innovation.
When you think it's all said and done, someone comes out with something else, boom, and then you're just like, whoa, what's going on?
A whole new level, and you're like,
like the guys that are coming down from the buildings right now. The first time I seen that,
rappelling through,
I'm just like imagining in my head, like, dang, can my big ass go do something like that? You know what I mean? Like. It's like the thrill of watching it, right? Like, and I tell people like, it might look easy on the videos because it make it look so cool. Yeah. But it takes a lot of work.
Half of them have never rappelled in their life, by the way. I mean, I've met a couple that like actually went and got classes and did it. But look, most of us are broke. Like nobody can go like take rappel classes, right? So these fools, they get their gear from like a garage sale. They hope it works and they jump down the side of a building and you're like, that kind of passion. Again, when you go back to if there is something so beautiful that's something kind of simple that doesn't really give you much gain, notoriety maybe, but really just the act of doing it and that pride in what you created and you did something nobody else could accomplish or whatever, that's why we stay in the game. It's why it stays interesting. It's why it's always growing. I think graph is as fresh right now as it's ever been. I've been watching it since the 90s. Yeah. And 90s graph is dope. Like, super dope. Like you look at some old books about what like New York and Germany were doing in the 90s, and I mean we still haven't caught up. Like they were killing it, and they didn't have all the caps. They didn't have these great pressure valve systems. It was just crappy hardware paint with the same 10 colors, and they were still doing these like incredible pieces. and their understanding of the form of the letter. Like we're still kind of chasing that. Like, how do you get a letter that funky, that sexy, that and they contributed a lot, but I think it's still growing. You know, I look at these black books and these things from the 90s and I'm like, we're still crushing it. Like it's still growing. You still don't even know what's going to come next because like you said, as soon as you think it's like reached a plateau, somebody comes up with something new and you're like, oh,
gotta go back to the drawing board.
Like, all right, that's the new level. You know?
And I was having this conversation the other day with someone that was really naive to the culture. And I was like, when you look at a letter structure, bro, it kind of talks to you. Like, when you see a A super funky, you're like, oh, damn, this is a hip-hop dude over here.
Yeah.
You know, if you see like an anti-social style, then this guy's rebelling against society, right?
Totally.
If it's just a simple letter, but it's super high, this guy, he's passionate about like standing out. Like, so just looking at the letter form, you could really understand a feeling and an emotion that was put together to be there.
Totally.
And I opened up their mind to understand that it's just more than just you know what I mean? Like,
oh, totally.
And they started opening up their mind because they were just so negative to understanding what this was. And I'm just like, you really got to digest it. Like, really sit there and look at it. Don't just be like, oh, screw that guy. You know what I mean? And I thought it was interesting that some people still don't understand it, right? But eventually it would get there.
Well, I don't know if it'll even serve us if everybody does understand it. Part of what keeps things cool is like the old people not liking it, you know? And I think half the fun, you know, around here, the buff is big, right? Like, especially in San Diego, you paint anywhere a tourist might see, they'll buff it within 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
So nothing rides, except for in tunnels and places like that we kind of take over. But anything public, like you'll drive on the freeway, if you see two things in a 45-minute drive, I'll be pretty shocked. And we're heavy. Like every night we go out, but it gets buffed. That's half the fun. That's half the game. Like, oh, this one rode for 2 weeks. You know, like people want it to be there forever. Out here, we know, like we count it by the hours it's up, you know? It doesn't stop us though. It's still part of the game. It's still like, let me find that spot that rides for 2 months because they're not noticing it. And like here, we're the masters of finding like little back cutty spots you can see, but
I've seen a lot of those. I was scouting and I've seen a lot of stuff. I was like, oh.
Yeah, we hide a lot of our graffiti out here because that's the only way it rides. And so that makes you look even closer, even more carefully. You know, the less obvious spaces, the more like, kind of like, oh, that back fence. You know. And it keeps the game going, keeps it fun. And so it's not like the buff is never going to stop it. It's the back and forth is kind of where the value is. Like you go to certain places and the paint is on top of the paint is on top of the paint. It's almost not as much fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I got to cap like 4 different toy things to paint here. And someone's going to come paint over this tomorrow with some other toy stuff.
Or maybe just come put a tag in there and be like, bro.
Right.
I just devoted all this time to put in this dope stuff here.
Yeah.
And you're just going to come here and put something and it's done.
If it's too easy, it takes some of the fun out of it. You know, I enjoy hitting a yard with my boys and having some beers, but nothing is quite like going out and taking a spot, you know, and
yeah. And for anybody out there that might watch this and be like, look at these two adults talking about this stuff. Like, I really want to express that as a child. I can speak from my experiences, right? Mental health is something that you really don't get to understand as a kid. You start entering as you get older, right? And just imagine being somewhere where like every day you have to go through negativity, right? Seeing things that you're not supposed to be seeing as a child. Some kids go towards something else, right? That could affect your life, like drug usage or alcohol, whatever it is. But to be able to find something that really like puts you at ease and be like, okay, everything's gonna be okay. I belong here. This brings me comfort. It brings me a family. It brings me friends. And as long as I'm away from home, I have what I need here for now.
Sure.
It could really save your life, right? And being able to get to a certain age where you understand that, like, okay, graffiti really made me be here where I am today. I think it's important to people to understand that it's not just the negative about it. It's also the positive that it could bring.
Oh, there's so many positives. I mean, first of all, even it being illegal or whatever, I think certain cities like Los Angeles are starting to have a real conversation about like, how bad is this really?
Yeah.
You know, obviously in certain communities, certain places that you're going to do your art or whatever is going to be considered criminal activity. But is this crime like selling drugs? Is this crime like breaking and entering? Is this like the same level of crime, or is this just art? And then if it's just art, where does this belong? If it doesn't belong here, where do you want it? Does that mean like skate parks where we get more public graph yards? I think that would be cool. I'm not saying that would like solve the city's graffiti problem, and I don't know that that's a problem that should be solved. But like maybe there is a compromise at some point where the community acknowledges, hey, we do like this mural stuff, and maybe we'll give you some spaces to like explore that. And we could do that together as a community instead of being like, no, all the time.
Hey,
you
pointing
know?
that finger.
The city here in Carlsbad, sorry to interrupt, but just right over here, they have this little wall, and it's a community wall. Anybody can come paint. And it's actually pretty cool because the community has opened up a lot to...
Here in Oceanside?
Oceanside's sister city, Carlsbad. So it's like 4 miles away.
Okay.
And it's just a little wall. You can fit about 2 pieces on it, but it's right downtown, and anybody can come paint. And you can go paint right now, and a little old lady's going to come up and be like, hey, that's pretty cool. And you know, there's not a lot of spaces like that. And so there is this kind of new relationship happening between the community and the graffiti culture, you know, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I've seen through me traveling, I've seen some good stuff. Like, you know, like LA, obviously they have like the Graph Lab and the Venice art walls, which is something cool, right? I mean, you get to paint right by the beach, have some fun, drink a beer, whatever. I just recently visited Grand Junction, Colorado. In Grand Junction, it's a small town. The whole riverbed is all ball game. Anybody go paint there all day. You don't got to worry about anything. Yeah. So the whole riverbed is open ball game. They have a skate park. The whole skate park, you could paint it all day if you want to be there. So I think those steps to kind of like, okay, we might want to look into it. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, I think it gives a good opportunity for, look, it like these public spaces. What I think artists like graph writers are saying is like, we want to see some art here. We want to see some color here. We want to like, you know, we don't want to just see this Illuminati gray on everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair thing. We don't realize it, but we pay taxes. We're citizens. We're civilians. We're a part of this, right? And so like our idea of how our community looks has some value, and especially places like skate parks and stuff, like let's have fun. Let's throw some color around. Let's make it interesting so that it doesn't all just look the same everywhere.
Make it appealing for kids to want to come out and be here.
Totally, and it makes it unique to that space because that art only exists there. Yeah. I mean, someone can build the same ramp anywhere, but you can't do the same tag. You know, I mean, it's the collection of art that kind of falls on it makes it also its own unique like experience.
100%. And you also got companies opening up their eyes now. Like look at Rust-Oleum.
Yeah,
they've been anti-graffiti forever, right?
Sure.
They changed the valve system so guys can't paint graffiti with them. Shout out to everybody that came up with adapters so you could put fat caps on them. and now it's like boom, Rusto's coming.
Right.
Artist spray paint.
I'm so curious to see how that unfolds.
And I'm just like, whoa. So it goes back to that same subject. People are starting to realize like graffiti has to stay.
Yeah, you're talking 35, 40 years of Rust-Oleum being like, we hate graffiti. And then now they're like, hey, we created a spray paint just for street art and graffiti. You know, it's a 180. Obviously, it's a huge 180. You know, and like at Infamy Art here, we've sold, I mean, tens of thousands of adapter caps. If you think, I mean, just unheard of amounts. Because people are using Rusto and need the adapter to get the good caps on there, you know? And if we don't need adapter caps anymore, like that, I mean, who knows what that means? Does that mean they're going to start sponsoring more walls? Does that mean more community productions? Does that mean more graffiti artists will have a chance to maybe monetize their trade or travel more? Yeah. And that all is exciting. And I mean, you could kind of like boo-hoo it and be like, oh, corporate involvement. Yeah. Like, that's not very punk rock.
Is Krylan going to come back and be like, hey, I got a can?
And maybe, because what's going to happen is they're going to see Rusto's numbers. It is all business, right? Yeah. They're going to see Rusto's numbers, and if Rusto's pulling numbers, you better believe Krylan's going to be like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we can do this. And that might be interesting, too, because their old formula was pretty awesome, to be honest. I think a lot of the old heads can
even the house paint at Home Depot, I think it's called Bear. Now they're doing spray paint.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, whoa.
The thing is, and I mean, for everybody asking about these, like, these kind of companies, the paint's pretty garbage. But that doesn't mean it'll always be garbage. Yeah. The thing is companies, you know, like your 360 or Loop, and it definitely says something for how the world's changing. The perception is changing. You know, it used to be like this savage art form that nobody got. And I think, you know, just like how hip hop has kind of earned respect over the years on a more global level, you have graph art and street art doing the same thing. It's growing up, it's maturing, and it's being more accepted by communities. It'll be interesting to see, you know, does a company like Rust-Oleum invest in the tools because they really love it and they want to see us all grow, or is it a cash out thing that they only do for a couple of years and they drop it and we all have Rustos in our collection, remembering, hey, remember when Rusto made that can for us, you know? It'll be interesting to see. I think companies that have been consistent in this culture, artists that have been consistent in this culture, seem to really care about this culture. Yeah. And
100%.
So time will only tell. But the fact that companies like Rust-Oleum and maybe even Krylon or whatever, you know, come back and support this art that they've ignored or rejected for so long, that has to show that the opinion's changing, because these guys fought it forever, right? So, but like we talked about, you know, kids are doing this at their birthday parties, and you got soccer moms buying spray paint now. And, you know, maybe it's a lot like skateboarding. You know, around here, skateboarding, all the parks, everybody used to do it behind their churches and at schools. And now it's all like public parks and places where it's like kind of safe, and everybody has a space to go to. So maybe we'll see that.
Yeah, like getting into that, like, you know, ever since I started like traveling around state to state and getting into all these interviews and like doing in-shop reviews with shop owners, they express that, like, you know, these kids are coming in with their parents now. They're coming in with the mom or the dad, and the dad's kind of like asking for pointers, like, hey, I want to support my son or daughter or whatever, and this, but I don't know nothing about this. And it's like, I guess the question is, like, would that be accepted? Or does it have to stay thug driven toward, like, nah, he got to go hit the street and get it from the ground up?
It's always going to be cooler because it's a little dirty and a little grimy. So we always will need that element in it if we want it to stay relevant. Things are more fun when they're not perfectly safe. That being said, if you want to see something grow, you know, you want to see more opportunities for street artists and graffiti artists to make a living or to earn respect, then it's going to take more people to want to be involved. You know, one of the things we do with Infamy Art, to be honest, is we look and we saw all these spray paint and all these markers, but like, where's all the cool gear? You know, and we talk to all these companies and we ask, like, hey, where's all the you know, the keychains and the where's all the stuff to like support what I'm into, you know? And there really isn't a lot of stuff. And when you think of all the people in our culture that make stuff, we make things all the time. We paint on shit every day, you know? And it's like, but how much of that is turned into, you know, a shower curtain or whatever? And we don't think in those kind of ways, but I mean, really, more people are going to grow up and they're going to want this art in their homes, and they're not going to always want it to be framed. Maybe they want it on their coffee mug, or maybe and is that selling out? You know, if someone really appreciates it and it's their favorite coffee mug and they use it every day and they're stoked about it. It's
like, I'm a coffee person, and I went to the show and they had a tumbler and it looked like a Krylon can. I was like, bro, I don't care what it costs, give it to me.
Pose had some coffee mugs, and I was like, dude, there's no way. Like, I had never even seen it. He was painting at a jam, and he brought out some coffee mugs, and I was like, I want to Pose 2 coffee mug, like, you know, and I drink it out of the shop, you know, all the time.
And everywhere I go, people are like, hey, bro, what is that? Where'd you get that at? Like, and I'm over here like, hey, bro, I just found it. Like,
and I just think we could do more of that, more stuff, just more ways to share our art, more ways to make it easier to make art, and more inspiring too. Like, I don't know about you, but like, if I'm gonna do, you know, a show, or it pumps me up. I'm gonna do more art. It keeps me like moving. I'm not gonna do the same thing because I wanna bring something new and fresh to the table. And so like, having those kind of projects, you know. And I know a lot of artists who are really starting to do a great job just putting it on everything and getting it out to fans. You know, and not all those fans are like hardcore graph writers, though. They might just be people who really appreciate this stuff.
It's super cool. It makes you feel some type of way. I want it.
I mean, I've met like old ladies who are like about that, but they also have a little bit of money to drop on it too. So it's like, okay, this old lady has it in her living room, but if she's stoked on it, And then your homie who wanted to pay you $20 for it is like, "No, I didn't even hang it up." You know what I mean? Like, where would you rather it be? You know, like, I don't know. Yeah, I like to think that if people appreciate it, you know, there's room for you to accept a little bit of that. You know, are they all going to be the coolest people? No, but we have the kind of culture that'll kind of shape. You know, we have a tendency to talk a lot of shit when we don't like something. You know, and that's probably good. Maybe that's like part of our dialogue is as new people get into it, we remind them how important letters are and how important can control is. And we just keep our standards up high. And then this new breed or whatever, as they come in, they make it their own. And, you know, that's what else can you do? You can't expect every kid to be a gangster that comes into this or be from the streets. It's just how much love do they have for who cares where they come from? How much do they love it? How much are they giving into it? You know, I know some fools that are like, you know, legitimate as ever, but they haven't changed their hand style for 30 years and they suck, you know? It's like, yeah, you got all the street cred in the world, but are you really like moving the needle forward? Are you really inspiring anybody? And I don't know, maybe it's more important to look tough, but I think it's cool when an artist like inspires me. You know, when I'm seeing like someone like a Soder just taking things to the next level every time he paints, it's like, man, it makes me want to get up and go paint. You know, like I did a whole, like each train, each car had one letter. I'd never seen, it took the whole train to spell his name. I'd never seen that. I've seen whole cars all day, you know what I mean? But like, he just, okay, what's the next level? What's the next level? And when artists are doing that, you know, taking it to those levels, and there's a lot of them online too, from all over the world that we're watching, you know?
I can relate to that, man, because I see a lot of stuff that it just moves me. Like the other day I was on the air and I seen somebody get the train, but they painted it to look like a whole spray can was rolling by.
Yeah, I've seen that. Super cool.
And I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. I mean, it gets you like, I got to do something now. You know what I mean?
You know, it's kind of like a secret society. And that's one of the things I like about this is in a world where everybody's so concerned with like race and class and just identity politics, our whole culture is about like, we don't give a fuck who you are. It's what you do. It's what you create. Let your work speak for itself. And so like that exact example, when you see something like that, you don't even care who made it.
It's just dope.
Like who was it? Was it a short guy? Was it a tall guy? Was it a girl?
Oh,
like,
that wasn't cool because a girl did it.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even matter. And we know it doesn't matter. We just see it and we like nod our head in that like quiet respect. Like, you got it. You know?
It's dope.
And it's dope. And I think that like, I hope our culture never loses that, because with Instagram and social media, we are starting to kind of come out of the shadows a little. We're starting to let some of these personalities kind of, you know, we're acknowledging and recognizing these faces in the culture, which is pretty new for our culture, you know. And it's important to remember that it is kind of a secret society. It is kind of anonymous. It really is about what you produce and not like where you're from so much, you know. And I guess it can be important to some people on their journey as an artist, but like, I don't know, for me, I just want to see dope art and I want to see people get up. And I don't really, you know, I respect if they had some extra adversities or whatever to get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, I don't want the story to be louder than the work.
Gotcha. You know, and I was having a conversation and that aspect of it where like, you know, they were asking me like, hey, Ronnie, like, you know, we get a lot of negativity just because like we like to do this and you know, we like to paint and put up commissions or whatnot. And I kind of expressed to him, it's okay to be a street artist, bro. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. I can't take nothing away from you. Just understand the difference. Understand the difference between a street artist and a graffiti writer.
Totally.
Right? A graffiti writer is out on the streets doing illegal work, risking their life, going back and forth, going through all the stuff that a street brings to get to where they're at and put their name and do whatever they got to do. A street artist could just be anyone that wants to paint, but want to use aerosol as a medium.
There's clearly relationships, right? But there's a huge difference. And I don't even know of an example of another place where there is that big of a difference. But I do find some street artists, because sometimes they're doing larger scale things or getting paid, but they just started 6 months ago. They feel like they can cap, you know, anybody, anytime, and there's no problem. And it's like, no, it's very different when I leave a piece in the tunnels and nobody touches it. That's a sign of my community giving me respect for the work I've done. They're saying that's dope. It rides, right? With street art, these guys think just because it's pretty or because they got paid that they've earned that same space. And it just isn't the same. It's not the same relationship with with your peers. You haven't earned the same thing. So I think if street artists could be maybe a little more like respectful, who cares? There's no rules, right? So
just knowledgeable of what's going on.
But I think the relationships would work better if there was kind of like a nod to the work that graffiti artists put in, and yeah, it might not look as pretty because you don't have 3 days and a crane to make the same thing, like
right there on top of a crate and a bucket, just trying to make it happen with a ladder.
So, but I think there's going to be more street art, and I think there's going to be more crossover. There's going to be more artists where you don't really know what side of the fence they're on, especially as more opportunities come up and things legitimize more. There's a lot of gray area. We do events in LA where it's like, you're not even sure if the event's legal or not. Like the cops haven't busted it yet. So I guess we're just going to keep going, but there'll be 100 writers there. It's like,
because things could go sideways real quick, right? Like if a crew comes out and puts a big production for their fellow homie that just passed away, right?
Right.
And this guy gets paid and he comes and puts a big old sunflower or like a Marvel cartoon character or whatever, thinking it's cool, it could really escalate to something bigger than what it is.
Right, or even vice versa. Like these street artists will do their petunia or whatever painting, and not to knock it, but yeah, your sunflowers, you're kind of common, butterflies or whatever, and it looks cool. But then a graffiti artist might come and do a piece right under it, and that street artist is mad, and it's like, well, kind of it's a prime spot. That's part of the game, and so I think street artists expect their work to be protected, and that's not how it works. If you want your artwork to be protected and you don't want the local kids to go over it, then build a relationship with the local community where they respect your work. I know of some street artists that nobody would go over because they respect the work, they respect the artist. There's other ones that nobody even knows who they are, and they don't care. Like, your second painting is this strawberry painting on this mural. This graffiti artist has been doing it for 20 years. He doesn't care that, you did this pretty painting. He's going to get up. Like, he's going to go and do it. So there's still a lot of dialogue. It's a funny space, but there's a lot of hate, right? Back and forth, the street artist versus the graph artist.
I just give my 2 cents when they ask me for it, right? I'm just like, just do your homework, be knowledgeable of certain things that you want to do, and vice versa, But at the end of the day, everybody's will do whatever they want. Right. But I just give them my peace of mind if I'm asked for it.
Hey, if a graffiti artist paints over street artist stuff, that another street artist is probably gonna get paid to paint. We're all getting each other work, right? We're all moving each other forward. I know a lot of hardcore graffiti writers that over the last couple of years have started doing more mural work, and they're getting paid. And I have a friend who's gonna buy a house off of this. He's been a vandal his whole life, and he'll be able to buy some land because he started doing murals for the city. And
that's dope. That's amazing.
I think he's pretty stoked about that, and he put in the work. He deserves it. I think overall it's a good thing. The semantics, we'll work that out, right? In the long run, And
there's also other great stuff that's going on. Now I see a lot of graffiti writers that are coming up with collectible toys,
right?
Or they're collaborating with companies.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing more. I don't know if that's in there.
Right there, look, boom.
Yeah. I want to get more involved with toys ourselves. I think that there's so much that hasn't been done yet, and it's a fun space. And I want, if I can, through my company, I would love to work with more artists where we're all eating a little, we're all promoting each other, where we all have things to get excited about. We just did this color challenge with Amuse, where Amuse picked 12 colors, and artists from all over the country had to use exactly the same 12 colors, and we all just flexed to see what's your style, how do you use these colors, and to see the diversity of style, to see people get involved. These kind of projects that bring people together are good. They're good. It's just fun. It motivates us. And so the toys, working with artists, I might work with someone who's never made a toy before. It's going to make them step it up. Then once they do that, they'll be comfortable doing it. They might do it for another company. Maybe they're working for Super Plastic or whatever.
Or they build a catalog to where now they could present a catalog to a company and be like, this is what I could do. Boom.
Right. And I like the opportunity, especially through collectibles, to give, for more of our artists to share their work, especially with people who maybe aren't graffiti writers. Because I think that's cool too. If there's somebody with some awesome toy collection and there's a sket toy, in there or something, like good on them. Like, that's great. You're breaking through.
You know, I encourage anybody to pursue the idea of whatever it is you want to do. If you want to do a graffiti bakery or a graffiti backpack, whatever, do it, because if not, a corporate company will come and do it. And then now you got to work harder to put the product out there.
Yeah, and do it your way. I mean, Mimi from Few and Far is a great artist and a good friend, and she also is a florist. And so she started incorporating her graph with her ability to work with flowers. And you see these kind of interesting combinations that she's done for galleries that, like, I would have never thought of it. It blows my mind. And it's like just cool to see. It's inspiring. And you know, whether you're making toys or whether you're just approaching it, like you said, if it's what you're about, like, just be about it. Let your freak flag fly. And you know what I mean? Like, be free. You know, don't be so worried about the haters. You know, we kind of had a conversation about this, is like, you're never going to make everybody happy. Don't even aim for that.
It's impossible.
It's like, why don't you do you? And then the people that are going to support you will find that. And the better you get at what you do, the more people are going to feel that and they'll support it. And then you just focus on your lane. And I mean,
once you believe in yourself, people will believe in you.
When I started this company, we had 2 racks total of product. It was in a closet.
Yeah.
And now we serve hundreds of people every day all across the nation. You know, there's not a state in this country that doesn't order from us, and all from me and my little beach town, you know, just trying to do what I could to make some noise. And if you work hard and you love what you do and you support people, you know, there's some people that aren't going to support you or respect you along the way. But ultimately, like, it's amazing what you can accomplish. You know, how much you can grow things if you don't worry about anybody but yourself. You just be the best you can and you love it and you put your work into it, and the results and rewards are, you know.
Man, like I've had the opportunity to walk into a lot of places starting with this. This is a phenomenal warehouse, man. It's amazing to witness. Like, you look at what Robert's doing with Beyond the Streets. Right. You look at the Graffiti Museum in Miami. Right. And then they have another one in Washington, I believe, that they're building and putting together. Like, there's something there, right? Like, and it's getting built, it's getting molded, it's getting nurtured. Like, it's crazy to be able to see it, right? Because, like, we're here one day, we're gone the other, so you got to enjoy it while you can.
Right. We do this. We do a lot of 228 labels, art on 228 labels. We co-sponsor a gallery called Going Postal, and one of the interesting things when you do this over time is, like, rest in peace from FX Crew, when I got to hang out with him when he was in LA, which was a huge thing for me because I always thought he was one of the greats of all time. Yeah. He did some 228s for me. Now, it was so cool to have a 228 from him, period. But then when he's gone, you know, that's history now. Now I have a piece in my collection that, like, represents history in our culture just because we had a shared moment. And you're right. Like, I think in this culture, we forget that, like, none of this can be reproduced. Once you're gone, you're gone. And it is an action sport. It's gone. Someone's going to paint over it. And so it's important to protect and preserve and respect it and acknowledge it. It really is.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, even when I have a conversation with someone that's kind of like asking my thoughts or what, like, you know, I'm like anybody else, but I'm just human, right? I have an idea like everybody else. And it's like, you know, just, it's okay to not want to know about the generations before you or not want to pay attention to it. But I think it's fair to just give a little of an acknowledgement, right? Sure.
I think you shouldn't be ignorant of something if you care about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you play baseball, you might want to have 1 or 2 people that you look up to. I think Graph is the same way. I don't think it's anybody's responsibility to know the whole history of anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't like when people come out and be like, you don't know this, you don't know this, you ain't shit. Because I think you should gravitate to the things you do feel.
Yeah.
You know, if you're into hip hop, you know, maybe certain stuff never vibed with you, so you didn't really look at it. That's cool. You don't have to love everything.
Yeah.
But the things that do, you know, that do grab you, like, allow that to, you know, give your acknowledgement to that and respect to that and learn from it, maybe, you know. I don't care if you're just like, all you've ever heard is Tupac.
Yeah.
But listen to the lyricism, listen to the tempo, listen to the poetry, and really get it right, you know. And the same thing with Graph. Like, if you're gonna do it, hopefully you do it to the best of what you can do. You really are trying to not just put your name up, but, like, have some integrity, have some pride. Like make it clean.
Yeah, because it's like it's. I think the hardest part is like finding who you want to be into the culture. Like, there's some guys I'll be like, hey,
That's the hardest part of life.
I just want to be the character guy.
Right.
Be the best character you can
Totally.
be.
I think that's exactly right.
Oh, you have the guy that's like, you know what? I'm really not that dope to paint, but I'm here to hang out with you guys. What I gotta do? Hold the roller or whatever, right? It's like the beauty of it, right? Where it's like we're all working as one.
Right.
Everybody understands why they're there. And I think that's, to me, like the hardest part to understand. Like, okay.
Where everybody fits.
Like yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody like might not be the best piecer ever, but he could throw some super dope cartoons up there.
Totally.
So you're the cartoon guy. All right. Not necessarily that's all you do, but that's your PowerPoint, and that's where you're like, this is what I like to do.
I think that's where it helps to be a part of a community, and hopefully not just a crew. Because I think when people are just in their little crew, they're in their pocket of people that you kind of, it's like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
But when you're a part of your community, you're painting with different people, you're going to learn different things. You're going to learn where you're weak. You're going to learn where you're strong. You're going to learn what you don't like.
Yeah.
You like hear a story of how Banksy started doing stencils because he was so slow as a piecer. There's a lot of marketing behind that persona, but like there's probably some truth to that like his process changed what kind of art he felt he was comfortable even making. You don't see a lot of Matthew Shepard like graffiti letters. You don't see Obey going out and bombing in the traditional sense, but that doesn't mean that we don't all know who this person is or their work or even doubt their legitimacy in the streets. And I think you're right. I think finding what it is you're stoked about and doing it. Rest in peace to Aware, but you see one of his skulls and it's one of his skulls. Yeah. He is not the first man to paint a skull.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in every part of art that does skulls. You know what I'm saying? But you see one of his and it's him. And it's because he just put so much personality into it. He made it his own. And he didn't stop to say like, oh, well, people have already done skulls. No, he just did what he loved.
How can I make it mine?
Yeah, how can I make it mine?
Yeah.
And I think that's something so important, especially for the younger people or people developing themselves to remember is like authenticity is far more important than I think people give it credit for right now. Maybe because it's so easy to get attention online or whatever. I don't know. But I think whatever you're doing, people are going to feel it if you're authentic to it, if you're really about it, Like you can be a wheat paster and be the dopest wheat paster.
You can really tell when someone's passionate about something, like just by being around the person or even just seeing how he's doing it. Like if you see a guy that went and wheat pasted like the very top of just that one corner of that super big building, you're like, oh, this guy did damage just getting up. Or
if you're using stencils, but you're cutting out like hand cutting out 30 different layers for your stencil. Like that is hard work. I'm not cutting out 30 different layers to a stencil so that my stuff pops, you know? And I've seen people do that on graph walls. And it's like, you could knock stencils all you want, but the end result, the passion, the beauty of it, the quality of work and the dedication to it, you can't really talk smack or you can't talk down on it.
100% I agree, brother. Definitely. You just got to really like digest it and be like, whoa.
I think as the culture grows, everybody's going to have to find their lane, but it'll be hopefully more open-minded, which will have its pros and cons. I don't want it to dilute the culture. Like as street art comes in, I don't want the rawness of graffiti to go away. I like bombing. I like what it looks like. I like the conversations that starts in the community, but it's not the prettiest stuff. I can understand why civilians and pedestrians who are paying $1 million for their home don't want to see it on the way home, so I don't know, but I think that like humans kind of not asking for permission, to kind of go full circle on our conversation and kind of claim their own identity. I think that's so important, especially at a time where everybody needs to like, be the same and everybody shows up the same time for work and leaves the same time for work and everybody has the same struggle and hustle. There's something kind of beautiful about, just being the rawness of graffiti and just going out and kind of like fuck all the rules. A lot of people don't have that in them, like that capacity to challenge society or even themselves in their own like safety zones that way. And I know guys who are like 50 doing the craziest ninja stuff to catch like a little tag, risk your life stuff.
Yeah.
And it keeps them young. It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that, you have a bad hip and you're like climbing a 3rd story thing, but at the same time, like that man, that woman, that person is alive. Like they're really like, they're still playing with life, they haven't given up. And so, this culture, I remember going to a jam and seeing an artist who was like, looked like Santa, like old dude.
Yeah.
And he was killing it. He was painting, he was burning. He was just painting hard, and everybody was giving him props. Everybody was giving him respect. And I was like, man, you could really grow old. This is a family. This is a community. You can grow old doing this if you love it and you keep putting it down. And I respect that about us. Again, back to our anonymity and we're able, it just matters what you produce. It just matters how much you love it. It matters what you create. And the rest is all like, it doesn't matter really how much money you make or how many people follow you on Instagram. Yeah, it's like, how do you feel about it? Are you having fun? Like.
No, I agree with you 100%, brother. Like, I think the nostalgia of just being able to keep going and producing is something very mind-blowing, because I know I've seen people of age too, where I come out and like, I remember one time I came out to a paint jam and they invited me and I'm painting, and here comes these 2 grown folks, bro. They were like 55, 60, throwing it down over something that happened graffiti-wise. And I'm just looking at him like, whoa, you know what I mean? And like right behind me, just throwing it down. And I'm like, damn, that's dope, bro. Like, not that necessarily part of it, but the part of like being able to see people still love and nature the culture after so long and keep going and being able to kick down some knowledge, right?
Yeah.
To the younger generation and be like, hey, you ain't got to listen to me, but here's some pointers.
Right. And that's what's going to keep it going. That's going to, and again, even if graffiti or street art or whatever gets whack for a minute, there's going to be people that come behind it who are going to remember how dope it was in this particular time period, and they're going to make it fresh again. Everything is always kind of a reaction and in a circular kind of, ebb and flow, push back and forth. And I think there will always be times where even if it gets whack, it's going to get fresh again. And I want to be an old man driving in my floating, hovering car down digital freeways and still see, like cool pieces and see colors used in a way I haven't thought of before and see like, oh man, he really got that billboard. Like, how'd he get up there? And
I think
I
like
love that.
100 years from now, we're going to see a whole different ball game. That's how I feel. Like, we're not going to be here 100 years from now, but
people are painting with drones. Who knows what's next? They have machines now that can print out a whole mural.
Yeah, I've seen those, man. I was like, whoa! I seen that the other day. I was like, man, that's crazy.
But I still have friends that do hand lettering for signs and for like antique stores. So no matter how much it changes, there will still be people I think that preserve the roots and tradition of it, especially. If you have these 2nd and 3rd generation graffiti writers who grow up and their dad or their mom are teaching them about the culture, like they're gonna know what's important, and just like now, there's a lot of knuckleheads. There's a lot of fools who think they're amazing. Who like we would rather probably be better off without them. But it's it's one big messed up family. You go to a Paint Lewis and you can just see it like. Everybody is so different, so many different races, so many different places we all come from, so many different styles, so many different approaches, so many different, this guy listens to metal and this guy listens to country and this guy listens to hip hop and this guy's listening to dubstep way too loud, and it's like, but everybody's on the same page and everybody's got the same vibe and, this person's totally sober and this person's just way too lit, but everybody, it's a big family. It's a big party and
you're always going to have that knucklehead cousin.
Exactly
or
right.
that one brother that you always bump heads with, but at the end of the day, you're still family.
Yeah, exactly. And I would rather have that than some like suit and tie convention.
Yeah.
Going
through the middle of the tape, they're like, hey, wait, empty all your pockets. No, you can't go in with all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it, brother. I wanted to dive into your inspiring story of Infamy. How did all this come about? Don't get asked that very often.
I was working for this vitamin company, and the owner of the company, just like any job, like he wasn't really around much. He gave me a lot of responsibility, didn't pay me very well. And the company ended up not working out for me. But I learned all this stuff while I was there because this guy was pretty smart on how to run a company. He just didn't want to actually run a company.
Gotcha.
And so he would teach me all this stuff and be like, hey, do this over here, do this over here. And instead of being like, well, I'm not getting paid for that, like screw it, show me, and I learned. Well, then I was getting lunch one day with a friend who also wrote, and I didn't have a job, and I was about to have a son, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, man.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you learned how to run this company. Like you learned how to you can sell stuff online, you know how to order stuff, you know how to set up accounts. You can do all this crazy stuff most people don't know how to do. It's like, why don't you do what you know, like sell products, sell art supplies. And he kind of explained to me, and I think it was really important, like I could kind of fail by the standards of a corporation, meaning if I had sales goals, a company, big corporation is going to be like, you better make $1 million a year. And then they're going to pay me like, $100 a day or whatever. Yeah. They're going to pay me the least and expect the most out of me, And I realized that I could really take care of myself if I applied what I learned, if I just trusted myself. Like I learned some things, maybe it could work out. And so luckily I didn't know enough to have like a business plan or a strategy.
Yeah.
If I was any smarter, I would have never even tried because I would have second guessed myself because I would have seen all the holes, but I didn't look, I just jumped. I just like, are you wearing a parachute? Not sure, but I'm up here. Let's go,
Let's go, yeah.
And I never looked back. And I think that was the best thing about it was, I was in the right place, the right time, meaning a friend gave me gave me just enough that I could I could do this. And I didn't wait for it to like fade out. I just kind of the next day just got right to it. And I learned how to get a business license and get a bank account. And I never had any money. I never had, I don't have parents that sponsor. There's no partner. There's no background thing. Anybody who knows anything about me knows I grinded. I'd take a nickel, turn it into a dime. And instead of going and spending that on beer, I'd turn that dime into a quarter. And I really hustled. And that's how I could go from, ordering 100 cans at a time to ordering 100,000 cans at a time, and the difference in that over time. And it never happened. If you see what we built, and it was never just me, by the way. Like, you can't do great things alone. You really can't. You feel like you're the only one doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're honest, sometimes it's just a friend who picks you up when you're stressed out about something. Yeah. Sometimes it's just like someone, for me, going out and painting with somebody and just remembering why it's fun still. That keeps me going, because sometimes we have bad days or sometimes a shipment gets lost and you're freaking out or,
Or, hey, the customer, hey, I didn't receive my stuff, but you sent it out and it's like a mess.
Yeah, exactly. And I think anybody who has any kind of, if they sell prints online or whatever, they know they are, customers are tough in the modern world. They're very impatient and it takes the good customers for me to remember, like this is what we're doing it for.
Yeah.
And so it takes a whole community. And really just over time, consistently hammering the same nail over and over and over and over. And eventually we've built something pretty special. And the cool part is I think that there's still so much more that we want to do.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've reached any kind of near ceiling because there's just so much as participants in this culture. There's so many things, so many events we still want to help support, and there's still so many places we want to see certain artists go, and I'm really excited to see how that kind of unfolds and what happens as we grow as a community and we all support each other. And who knows, maybe we have our own Comic-Con size event someday where there's all these groupies around everywhere, super, giving us love back because, it's a bummer. I go to some of these events and you see 100 graph writers and not one, supporter. It's just us all hanging out, and that's all we need, and that's awesome. But you go to other things and you just see like people, getting their bras signed and stuff, and it's just like, and not to, I'm not trying to sexualize it because that part doesn't matter. It's just, it feels good when people appreciate what you're doing. And we have some people who put a lot of passion, hard work into it for a long time, and they definitely deserve the accolades that I hope will come to them or do come to them, and. But as far as the story goes for here, it was really just a love of this culture, a love of this community, and just building relationships. And like we work directly with On the Run, we work directly with Molotov, we work directly with Loop and all the companies we work with.
Yeah.
But that means I talk to them on the phone. The guys who develop these products, we have colors that nobody else in the world has.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting there on the phone talking to each other, laughing about how like there's not enough metallic colors or whatever. And what can we do about that?
Like, hey, Bobby, I know you got some red back there. Quit playing.
Yeah, mix some gold in there. Let's get funky. And that was actually a real conversation we had. And so now there's whole new colors that are being released throughout the world because of conversations we're having. And that all, that's 10 years after I started doing something in a little closet that nobody knew about.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you just,
So this started in a closet.
In a closet, yeah.
Okay.
One or two little racks, and it's cool because I still have friends who are around who saw it grow, and from that to a giant warehouse over time, and there was a million steps in between. I didn't go from one closet to a giant warehouse, and I think that's what people don't really get to see the steps very often. They don't get to see that you went from a closet to a living room. And that living room went to a garage, and then you outgrew the garage, so that was like a small little office, and and it just the steps along the way, and they're all scary. Every one of them comes with doubts and risks, but ultimately, you push it forward and you enjoy the process. And I feel like if it all falls apart tomorrow, and I think this is super important too, it keeps me from being too stressed out. What I was able to do, what I've learned, the people I've been able to hang out with, opportunities like this, because I love what you're doing for the community too, it makes it all worth it, and it's like, there's going to be somebody who's on their deathbed talking about, checking into the same job, clocking in, clocking out every day. They're not going to have lots to talk about. Yeah. I've got some wild stories because what I do on my, when we travel with the company, it's like, we go to like the ghettos of the country. People go to tropical places. I'm stepping over heroin needles and crack pipes to go get another burner in, and I love it because I get an opportunity to really see what these cities are made of and see a different side to the world, and I will never trade those memories for anything, and it's because we got involved. How do you deal? I don't know if you ever dealt with this, but if you did, how do you deal with the doubt of like, what if the people don't accept this? What if I do it and they look at me like, screw that guy, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's a toy. They're gonna do that. They're gonna do that. How do you balance that out in your perspective? The only way you can do it is trust yourself, your motives. In my opinion, I don't even have any answers, but I would say from my thing, I trust myself and I know my intentions are good. I know why I'm doing this. And then I have good people around me. And that's important. And it is. That's very important. I have people that support me. I have people that would fight for me. I mean, it's a big family, but like I feel safe anytime I travel because I'm rolling around with 30 grown great men who we're all looking out for each other. We're not looking for beef. We're not trying to be hood or gangster or whatever, but we're going to look out for each other. And I love that. I can go to a town I've never been to and know more people there than I do, where I live. And it's because it is one big culture. And you do enough, you travel enough, you start seeing other artists that travel, it's like there's so much respect and there's so much that can be earned if you care enough to do it. And I think keeping good people around, it'll keep you pretty straight. Because the internet could be a cruel place, brother. Like it is a cruel place. If you get consumed by those comments, man, I suggest you just leave it alone. But if you don't have any haters, you're not doing it right. Yeah. And it sucks to think that way, especially if you're someone who you respect yourself, you care what people think about you, and you should. But that's where you have to be certain what you're doing. That way when people start throwing their little pebbles, I mean, what do these fools do? And that's the other thing. When you flip it around, most of these people that are talking shit they've accomplished nothing. They don't know.
Or they have a
really.
profile with a picture of a fat cartoon and that's it. No
Yeah,
post,
yeah.
no
Like
nothing.
that's what they do is talk
Yeah.
shit, you know? So what are they, like, let the haters hate kind of thing? And why take it seriously? Why, like, you know, that's the loud kid in the class. Like you're at the head of the class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're trying to instruct the class. Like what, who cares? Like, and you just, you know, cool. And, you know, and we were talking about this either. The more people that hate on your stuff, the more it's going to like get into the feed and support the algorithm, which means more people that will respect what you're doing are probably going to see you. So, you know, as long as you don't take it too seriously, it's all part of the game.
Because for anybody watching this, that might be like, oh, this guy, Infamy Art, super baller or whatever, right? But it's like understanding business is important. You have overhead prices, you have rent,
right? Employees,
you know, electricity bill, internet bill, transportation fees, because it's not cheap.
Getting the product is not cheap. You know
what I mean? So like there's minimums you have to meet. You know what I mean? Like there's so much going on behind closed doors that nobody understands.
Right.
And this is the same thing with me. Like, you know, like transportation, equipment's expensive. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think it's before making that judgment, fully understanding how to run a business is important.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't know that anybody ever fully understands how to run a business. It's just like being in a relationship. You know, you try your best, you know, you screw up all the time and you try to make adjustments. And I don't think you ever get it just right. I think that, you know, if you have your own personal goals, whether you're doing a business or whether you're trying to succeed as an artist or whether you're a plumber, like it doesn't really matter. If you have personal goals and you're pushing yourself a little bit all the time, like that's just a better quality life, and you're going to produce things you're proud of and you're going to appreciate yourself for that. So
100%.
I think that's the lane, like how can I get better? And if you're just constantly focused on that, you're going to grow exponentially.
You know, as one of the biggest nationwide distributors, right? You deal with spray paint a lot. For those individuals that be out there like, no, screw that. You got to steal your paint, right? Realistically speaking, nobody's gonna come in here and steal anything.
They certainly wouldn't want to.
So,
no,
like,
it would not work out for them.
What do you say to those comments of people still believing that it's important to like rack your paint?
It's part of the culture. I mean, I don't like when people obviously people even try to come up on us. And I think that's kind of parasitic. I grew up where like if you were going to rack, you stole from the big companies like Walmart or Home Depot or whatever. But again, there's no rules. People are going to do what they're going to do. I'm going to do what I can do to protect mine. You know, I'm not going to be a chump and let someone just come up on markers from me. You know, I know this game too well. You know, and that's the thing, but that's where like I also don't focus on that. You know, I have a couple people every week try to rip us off. They don't succeed, but they try. And that's work on my side to make sure that they can, you know, they ain't getting what they want, you know? But for every 3 people that do that, I have 100 people super stoked because I got them a tool that they had no access to because they live in the middle of Arkansas or whatever, you know, and they don't have adapters locally or whatever. And so I try to focus on the people that appreciate what I'm doing. But that doesn't mean I hate on people for, you know, racking their rustos or whatever. There, you know, there's a spot for everybody to get in. I get it. If you're painting all the time, it's expensive. And if you're not monetizing it, that's hard to do. Unless you have a good job or you steal it, like how else are you going to get it?
100%.
And so I really more judge how people are doing it. You know, like I said, I mean, it's super hypocritical of me as a business owner, but like, I grew up, if you were going to take that route, do it from the corporations that have the insurance and can write out. Don't steal from your own. Don't steal from your own family. Don't steal from your own culture. That's what I grew up on. Not everybody's like that, and I can't judge. I'm going to protect mine, but people are going to do that. I think I've been doing this for a long time. Less and less people steal. It's just, it's not as prevalent in the culture. And that makes it easier for someone like me to run a business. Yeah. But the thing is you got to understand if you're stealing shit all the time too, that's probably going to put that business out and they won't be there in a year or 2 free to steal from. So it's like, if you want to see things stay, support them.
100%.
And that's just what it is. And I mean, fools are going to do what they're going to do. But if you want to see something stay, whether it's a graft shop or a restaurant that like you enjoy locally, you got to support it. And that's how you keep the things that you love, like in business You know, if you care about an artist, tell people about them, you know, whether they're a friend or a stranger. You know, if you like something, share the good. I mean, people are so busy sharing the negative. It's so old, you know, just everybody's trashing everything. Nothing's good enough. and it's just like, okay, but like, you know, what is good then? You know, like, what do you like? What are you down with? You know? And I think if we got into more of a mentality of like supporting each other, then you know, if people need to steal things quietly on the side, cool, do what you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? But like, just hopefully you're not hurting your own people in the process of that is all I can like think about. Someone like me, you know, that money is coming out of my own pocket. There's no big corporate fund behind that. So if I can't afford to re-up on, you know, the tools are gone. You know, nobody else is going to bring them over from Germany or whatever. Very few people are. And so, you know, if you're not careful, those resources can dry up. You know,
they can vanish, and then now it's going to be back to innovation and making it on your own type thing.
Right. And that's cool too. But I'm just saying it's kind of nice having a company like Infamy Art or shout out to like Art Primo.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that like companies like Bombing Science and Spray Planet, they've sold. Like they're a part of some millionaire's portfolio. They're not down for the culture more. They're profit driven. They're looking at charts and, you know, they're paying people in India to do their marketing and stuff. They don't know anything about the culture and, or very little. And they're worried about the bottom line. And that's okay too. I'm not judging that, but I'm just saying like, I think it's good in this culture to have some people who really are about it.
And are passionate to keep delivering and delivering.
Exactly.
You know, you're dealing with products from markers to caps to spray paint to a little bit of everything all across the board. What do you say is the product that moves the most?
You know, honestly, it kind of, in this day and age, it's funny because one TikTok video can change everything. Like, and not even in a way that you would think. Like, this one woman painted a tumbler and she used fluorescent paint from Montana cans, which we sell. And in like a 2-week period, we sold like 1,000 of these cans. I mean, I've never sold so much in my life of like one color. And we were just like, what is going on? Like, we can't keep it inside. It turned out we like did some research and there was just some like soccer mom who used spray paint to paint a tumbler, and all these other soccer moms were like, that is so great.
I want to try it.
Yeah. And so and she shouted us out, was like, yo, this is where I got it. You know, like this is where I found this thing. And so.
Hey, shout out for her for letting people know what you got.
I wish I remember her name. It was a couple years ago. It was pretty cool.
She could have been like, hey, I just got it somewhere, figure it out.
Yeah, but you know, someone demoing something, you know, all these people that have their accounts and they demo a product, that's good. It's good. People want to know, like, how does that cap work? There's a lot of new tools, you know, and it keeps us all inspired. And so, and we'll be doing more of that too, hopefully moving forward.
Gotcha.
I think that it kind of changes. I mean, spray paint, we sell a lot of Loop and a lot of Montana cans. If you're talking about spray paint, we're trying to be more supportive of like 360 and some other lines. But I mean, we sell a lot. Like when I say a lot, like fools don't even know. There's a freight truck here every couple of days just dropping off thousands of cans of paint. I mean, it's out of control. But you know, everything has its value. You know, sometimes we sell a rare ink that nobody's ever heard of, and we'll do one post of it, and we'll sell it all in a day. And it, like I thought it would last months, you know, and it's just like people see it and they're like all about it. So I think what it's really about is finding the tools that you like using, and like even caps. Like you could ask me, what's the best cap? Because we sell 40 different kinds of caps. Right. And what I would just say is like, what cans do you like using and what's your style? Because that's going to impact everything. I mean, yeah, I could be like, get a Lego in a New York and you're fine or whatever. Yeah. And that's true. But if I wanted to get into the nitty gritty, I would really want to know more about like who you are as an artist. Yeah. And then I could tell you like, oh, you want an Astro and you want to use this higher pressure paint. And
it's like if I come to you like, hey, I'm gonna paint a 2-story building and I'm painting a bird. And I'm working on the eyeball right now.
Totally.
And I want to add some shade and effect to it. Oh, you go this way.
Right, exactly. We'd be using a low pressure paint with some dusty thin caps on it. And that's going to get us a lot closer to where we need to go. But if you're like telling me like, yo, I just want to go mad bombing and need these cantaloupe style tags everywhere, like then I'm going to give you a totally different tool. You know, the same thing with markers. Like the hand styles are getting more and more popular and I love that. But every marker is a different hand style. You
Yeah.
know, if you have a rounder nib, it's automatically going to have a smoother kind of feel than if you have a chisel tip, which is going to have harder, edgier lines. And depending on your technique, you know, a chisel tip marker might be exactly what you need. And then I got these cool kind of markers that do that you've never seen before. But maybe you're into like smoother tags or drips or, you know, or what kind of city you live in. I sell mops that you cannot use in most cities, which is just too big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're in like, say, San Francisco or New York or LA, like, yeah, you want that big, juicy, messy stuff. But if
Yeah.
you're like in this tiny town in the backwoods of somewhere, maybe having like metallic purple giant tags everywhere will get you in too much trouble. It's too noticeable, you know? And so it's like, that's why we carry so much of everything, is because I would go to shops when I was younger and they just had the same stuff. And it was like, okay, but it kind of wasn't as fun. Like the cool thing about Infamy Art, and if anybody hasn't been on the website, you should check it out. Like there's so much stuff you've only seen on the internet or you never even like heard of before or whatever. Cause that's what we do. We go find that and we go play with it. And we're like, all right, you know, and some of it is all hype. You know, like some of these new wide mouth can killers, you know, it's like they show you the video of it spraying super wide. What they don't show you is that can is dead. You need 10 cans to get through your tag. That's $100 tag. You know, it's a giant tag. That's $100 tag. Like, you know, it's not as cool maybe in actual use, you know? And so, and that's what we're here for, is like, let's just get all the tools in one place and then people can decide for themselves.
Gotcha.
And in the process, we'll play with it. But there's no such thing as a bad tool. There might be a cap that's like super whack for most people, but someone else gets it and they just like that is their technique. They like it super dusty and drippy and messy, and it's perfect.
Like for example, I want to throw an example. They're like Hello Bray went crazy off the Astro cap,
right?
Because he goes from big to small
Right.
to really detailed to flare over here, flare
Right.
over there, and it's just one cap.
Right.
Stuff like that is like just understanding the art.
Yeah, in that particular cap, there's a few kind of like it, but there's a reason he uses an Astro cap, because it does have that incredible range between this fat, flary thing to these like tiny thin caps, all based on your technique.
Yeah.
And he made that cap 10 times more famous. I don't even think he paints like that in real life, dog. We talked about maybe doing a joke video where we just like, you know, and then it's all perfect at the end, you know. It's like, I think a lot of that is, you know, and if I ever meet him, he'll probably tell me I'm wrong, but I think a lot of that's for theatrics. I think a lot of that's for marketing. But yeah, the way he uses an Astro cap makes you want to go use an Astro cap. Like, I don't have the same techniques as him, so I try it. We ain't getting anywhere, you know, not the same way. And you know, I know what the cap does, but it just doesn't serve my technique or style. But you know, I want to do all the wild stuff too. So we have it there. We have those tools. You know, and then there's some people that, you know, maybe all they need is really thin caps and really, because they're doing tiny detailed stuff on whatever, you know.
Or you might even need the stencil cap. Maybe you want to do some really, really detailed things.
Right.
Boom, connect it, get to it. I wanted to get into, where does the name itself, Infamy Art, come from?
Well, and we were kind of talking about this off camera. It would be an obvious lie if I'd never said the movie didn't inspire us.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things I loved about the movie was that they interviewed people from the East Coast. They interviewed people from the West Coast. They had people that were street writers, like bombers, versus people that were piecing. They really found a way to like look at the entire culture. And as I was building the business, I knew that the one thing I wanted to do was embrace all the aspects of it, not just the pretty stuff, not just the hood stuff, but like the whole thing. Cause I really do. I love it all personally. And, I felt like if you were going to approach a shop the way that they approached that documentary, you'd be kind of right where you need to be. And so as a gentle kind of homage, I definitely like, it's a nod to that movie.
Okay.
But also the word infamy means to be famous for something negative.
Okay.
And if you think about, my competition is really like Michael's Art Supplier, Aaron Brothers, or Hobby Lobby. It's really designed, those kind of shops are for like old people and kids. We're doing something totally new. And I was like, I'm ready to have a real shop, you know, something the community respects. And it's not like some, you know, smoke shop or bong store, but a real artist supply resource that like respected our culture. So we wanted to kind of be the black sheep of the art community. We wanted to kind of embrace our scars and be like, yeah, we're the dirty kids. So what? We love it, you know?
Was there ever a conflict of interest with the movie? People kind of like, hey, you guys took our name type thing.
No, because and that's like on a business side, but it's really like, it's so different when you're talking about a company name versus like a name for a film or a piece. I mean, it's like you have rappers all day take names from movie characters and stuff like that. It's more of an homage. We've never claimed to be the people who made the movie. And in fact, the movie, most people watching this won't even remember the movie because it was like from our generation. It was late 90s kind of thing. But it did strike me when I was younger. That was kind of like one of the first movies or representations of our culture that I felt really respected, like the whole gamut. And I felt like that was so important to me. And so kind of keeping that close to our heart and respecting that, you know, we have equal love for the guy buying a $5 marker to go drop tags and the person dropping $400 for his next mural. You know, because to us, that artist buying that marker might someday become that artist buying doing the next mural, because we understand how we grow in this culture.
Do you see yourself ever having a storefront, like a mother home store type thing?
Sure. We've been saying for 10 years we're going to do a storefront. I live in one of the most populated cities in the country, right? We do so much nationally, it sometimes seems very difficult to slow down for the local community. Yeah. And it was always important for me to focus on the national community. I don't know, like, you know, I read this book once, this hip hop book, and it basically said, think locally, act globally. Or no, think globally, act locally. I got it totally backwards. I'm trying to shout it out. And so you can only do what you can do where you're at. So I worked locally, but I always thought bigger than just like the local community. I never wanted to get tied down in local drama, and local beef. I didn't want to be too accessible to people. I like kind of being in my own lane and moving at my own speed. I think someday we will do more like a storefront, but kind of like how like almost like a museum type storefront, like where if you travel to it, it'll feel like worth the destination.
Like, oh, I'm here. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And you've walked around. We may do some clips or not, but that's how it feels when you come in here. Yeah. But it's not open to the public, right? Yeah. And so there's all this famous, art from all these badass artists, and there's all these tools you've never seen before. There's all these toys and stuff that are like long out of print. And I kind of want to save that stuff for the community. It's really not for me. The reason I go and find these things and save them and give them love is because I do kind of hope one day. When I saw the first Beyond the Streets gallery, it was really inspiring because it was so full of, it had so much love for our culture, but the people there every day had nothing to do with graph. They were just like pedestrians and civilians appreciating it, and it had this ability to connect. And I liked that. I liked sharing what we do with people that maybe don't understand it, or even do understand it and appreciate seeing it, appreciate opportunities to go walk around in a gallery that's made for them. And for me, when I come into the shop and I see all the graffiti supplies and all the graffiti art, it feels like home. I'm inspired every day. And so I do want to share that with the community at some point. But it's hard because, then that means I would have to slow down a little nationally and
focus more locally.
Yeah. And right now, nationally, it's so many cool things happening, so many events, so many artists kind of coming up, just taking it to the next level. I like the space we're in, but I think at some point in time, I definitely want to do like a home base. Gotcha. where people, when they come in from out of town, they just feel like they got to stop by,
What's next for Infamy Art in 2025?
We want to do more collaborations. We've been talking to some cool other companies like Devastator Inc. out in New York about maybe doing a fun collaboration.
His stuff is dope too. I like
super. Yeah, he puts a lot of love into it, and we respect that a lot. I think as companies, we've talked a lot over the years about like what would be a cool thing to do that hasn't really been done. Yeah. Because we could easily just like put each other's names on something. I think what we kind of want to do is do something special and new. I want to bring some toys to the market. We started doing our own, eggshell stickers.
Ooh.
But we're trying to do something different, like these particular ones where I like them. If I can even, you don't see these. These are like kiss cut, like ketchup labels.
Oh.
So what happens is normally when you have perfect squares and you put them up, you got to like center them. Otherwise they look all like at a weird angle. Well, because this is more of a label, it can be off center and it still sits better, and especially like out here, we have a lot of sticker smashes. So when you're putting your sticker up, there's probably already like 40 other stickers. Well, this is going to like look better in the mix and kind of sit on top a little bit more because it's kiss cut. So it's little things, but like, we do this. So we like to look at it like, all right, how could we improve it? And then because it's kind of got the cool shape, it also makes it harder to remove. And eggshells are already super hard to remove, as you know. Yeah. So I think this year, one of the things we want to do is we want to keep designing products that not just to have another marker or another sticker, but really like, okay, this is what people have done. Can we take it a little bit farther? We have an ink that has a ridiculous name, the Mud Mark. And you can see kind of in this, there's a sediment at the bottom, which is why we call it. So it's an ink, but it's probably the most permanent stuff ever made. I'm sure if I release the ingredients, they'd shut me down. And we have there's whole people doing YouTube videos where they're demoing, how permanent it is. I think someone painted over it 30 times and it still bleeds through.
And this goes inside a marker?
Just put in a mop or a marker and we make it. Oh yeah, ooh. Careful bringing that in. You know what they say, if it stinks.
If I pass out, you know what?
And we do these in small batches, handmade. We have special ingredients that you won't find in any marker, and it's because we play with this stuff. And the pigment that we use is like this clay-based stuff we found that they use for marking pipes that they put under the ground. And we're like, well, if it's supposed to stay under the ground for 30 years and be legible, it'll hold up pretty good, in the real world. And so I think all we want to do is just keep having fun, bringing products that like help innovate and help move things forward. I would love to do more prints with artists.
Super dope.
And help artists get their product out to like one source. I love that people release their own stuff, and I highly recommend that artists do have their own markets. But the problem is that means that the consumer or the customer has to go to 10 different websites to constantly check in on what's new. Versus if you have home bases, you have spots like Infamy Art or maybe like an Art Primo or whatever, because I love the whole culture, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be us. But then, if I have a print from, say, Giant or Jabber or Sloke out in Texas, if we're selling prints from our friends, you can go to an Infamy Art and you can see 5, 10, 15 different artists and you can choose your favorite. Instead of having to like search the whole internet to be like, oh, what's available right now? What's in my price range? What do I like? And I think that having a hub or like a place where everything kind of collects is good, because then you can it's an easier chance to see like what's new, what's available. And we try to be that. We try to, everybody has something different, but we really do try to be like a hub. And we have people that lurk our site because they know we don't always announce when we drop stuff. Yeah. And like, we'll drop stuff that I didn't even tell anybody, a limited edition can or whatever. It'll sell in like a week. And then people hit me up like, yo, I didn't even know you had it. Yeah, because they bought it all before we could even tell anybody. Because people know, like, we try to find that stuff that you've only ever heard about. And we try to bring it and make it available. We try to always make sure the price is fair, and I think if there's companies like us able to work with artists, it's good for everybody, because we're able to put more money into these artists' pockets and help them do their business. A lot of artists are not good at marketing their products, stocking their products, shipping it out, all that stuff. And so we want to handle more of that and kind of make it a smoother process for everybody. And I think that'll be a pretty cool win. But I want to sell a little bit less, not sell less. I want to focus a little bit less on like spray paint and caps, and focus more on the actual stuff that we make as a culture. Gotcha. I think that would be a pretty cool direction to take, because everybody sells spray paint now, you know what I mean? And that's fine. That's super cool. But I want to do things that are like still moving us all forward and fun. It's fun to do a book release or whatever. Like that's super, and it's special. And so I want to get more involved in maybe putting out little movies or
That'd
books.
be dope. That'd be dope.
I don't know.
But I mean, I think it's dope, man. I think it's dope that you're helping pursue that idea, right? And man, check it out, infamyart.com. I'll put it right here.
Yeah, infamyart.com.
Make sure you check them out, man. I got 2 questions for you before we get out of here.
Sure.
One, I really enjoy your guys' segment where you guys read graffiti.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come about?
I'm not sure if he's comfortable with me saying who the artist is who does it.
Okay.
People who know.
Okay.
I mean, he puts his logo on it, so he's probably okay with it. But my brother, in so many ways, we were working together on marketing, and he like just came so lit up one day, and he was like, I got a great idea for a new segment, and it sounds so simple, he's like, I'm going to read graffiti. And I was like, okay. Like I didn't see it at first, and he was like, no, man, like nobody can ever read graffiti. He's like, I've been doing graffiti my whole life. I can't even read this stuff. Yeah. And I was like, okay, but we can read, like we can read it. You know what I mean? Like it didn't connect how brilliant it was, because as he reads it, and he can't figure it out, like you're there with him, like, yeah, I have no idea what this fool was going for, And you kind of laugh, because that's a little game we even play in this culture as graph writers. Like I'll walk through a tunnel or a yard or whatever, and I'm like, that's dope. What is that even supposed to be,
Yeah.
And I think him kind of acknowledging that in a playful way, it's just super fun. And then we get to shout out people. Like in the comment section, there's always someone who's like,
hey,
yo,
that's
yeah, and it creates its own kind of dialogue.
I watch it, man. I really enjoy watching. I think it's super cool. It really catches my attention, right? Because the way he does it, like today.
Yeah, so he knows he has that understanding of how to use his voice and stuff. So, and you can hear it. He's so comfortable with it, but he kills it, And I hope we get to do more. I think it's just fun, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how many markers it sells for us or whatever, but we'll keep doing it because it's great. Yeah, I enjoy everyone.
Great. I mean, adventures start as nothing, right? So I think it's really dope. I hope to see more of it.
Yeah.
Last question I got for you before we get out of here. Favorite sneaker of all time to rock?
Favorite sneaker? You know what's funny is I am not... Like I have my friend Drew from OTR is a sneakerhead, which is funny because his feet are like size 15. So he's probably got to go through a lot of hoops to find shoes, but like he keeps kicks, Yeah. I was a skater. I chewed through everything I ever owned for shoes. And then now as an adult, I'll get new kicks and then I'll go paint, not take them off like an idiot, and I'll get buff paint all over my brand new kicks. So like, I've never really been in love with any kind of kicks. That being said, a long time ago, the skater Chris Markovich got his own shoe through Duff's, and I think they were called Circle K's. But that was the first pair of kicks I ever like blasted. And I sealed them, and I probably wore those things for so long that the rubber on the bottom got hard, and you like slipped when you walked, And I kept those. I mean, but they were clean. I had good art on them, and the vibe of the shoe was super dope. So I don't even know if the shoes were that great, but I remember just loving. They were the first shoes I blasted up.
Circle K, what it called?
I think they were called Circle K's. They were Duff's from Chris Markovich. They were a clean shoe.
Circle K, man. Gotta give me a pair now.
Yeah.
Anybody you want to give a shout out to, brother, before we get on out of here?
I mean, just the culture. I appreciate all the artists that work with us all the time, especially people like Jabber, Kever, again, Sloke out in Texas.
Shout out Sloke.
Rusty has been really helpful behind the scenes. Stuff that nobody knows about, but it's like little things like people that we respect will tell us like, hey, you're missing a color in your range, or there's maybe if you had this, that would be helpful, or just kind of helping us see our holes because you can't do it all on your own. And so all the artists that support, I hope you know how much it means to us. It's not just about like feeding my family. It's really about keeping this, keeping events sponsored and keeping artists with the tools they need to take their stuff to a next level. And without the people's support, like, we wouldn't have any. There's no corporation behind us paying for this, you know?
Yeah.
It's just us taking care of each other. And it's interviews like this, and it's opportunities, and seeing what you're doing, seeing you bring artists that I respect to light, and seeing a new side of them, or hearing stories in more detail. That's for history. You know, someday these guys aren't going to be here to share that story, and you're capturing that and you're bringing that out for all of us. And so it's that work, it's that back and forth that keeps it going and keeps it fun.
100%. You guys heard it from Brandon himself at Infamy Art. I just want to let you guys know to, head over to GanoControl.com, get yourself a t-shirt, a hoodie, so much more. Again, this helps us be a little bit more financially stable to create more podcast episodes and bring in more content. And if not, it's always free to just like and subscribe, show us some love. We appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys want a part 2, if I get 1,000 comments, I might make it happen. So let's work. Let me know in the comment section. Till next time, guys. Peace.
Peace.